Hi, Rainer. It's my pleasure to meet you. How are you doing today?
Hi, good evening, Yuri. I'm perfectly fine because the weekend is approaching, and I had a busy week. I'm doing a lot of business analysis, project management, enterprise architecture, the whole week. And yes, thank you for the short introduction. Let me simply continue with
Sure.
it. So to give the people a bit of my background. Actually, you can see me in my office, and I'm working since a couple of years on business analysis. To be precise, I was the second CBAP, Certified Business Analysis Professional in
Okay, I
Germany.
didn't know that. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, I didn't manage to be the first, but at least I
Are you
get there.
friends with the first
And
person?
no, I don't know him. I just have read it in the registry. But what I did when I prepared for the CBAP, I was doing business analysis and requirements engineering already for years, if not decades. But then I by accident I run into the IIBA, the International Institute of Business Analysis, and I saw the BAP, which was in version 2 at that time, and I said, okay, that's it. That's the common knowledge. That's the body of knowledge you need to get familiar with. And from the first second, I was quite keen to become a trainer, not only to get certified, but to become a trainer. And if you do a certificate, you have a different attitude.
Mhm.
You don't just want to pass the exam. You want to build up a complete
Mhm.
curriculum. You want to build up courses, you want to develop materials,
Right,
and you want to finally become an expert in this
right.
area. And this is what I'm following up since I think I made my CBAP roughly 9 years ago. I think I have the third period, and you need to recertify every second year. And what I did then when the BABOK 3 came out, the current BABOK, which
True,
is still
true. In
alive,
2015, right?
I
As I recall. Right.
yeah, 2015 exactly. It was 2015, and I took myself in this office. Let's say I took I think 4 to 6 weeks,
Okay.
and I was sitting here and I've developed a curriculum. Yeah, and this curriculum is called BAC 3, so Business Analysis Curriculum
Mhm.
3. And you are not going to believe it, but since then, it's 2015 in winter, and now we have 2024 in spring. I'm using this curriculum, and I have always developed it further. And
Okay.
now it has a maturity which is quite high. I can tailor it to the different needs of the people. Some want to get CBAP certified, some want to just learn how to do it practically in the company, and others they have let's say questions to special areas like portfolio management, or they want to have modeling techniques. And so I can always take out of my drawer the different things. Yes, and then doing this and developing the business, we had the idea. It was 2018 or 2017 actually. Hey, we have to do something in Germany which is not there,
True.
something new. A conference in Germany about business analysis, but a conference for English speaking people. Because most of the conferences in Germany, and this is still the case, are German speaking or
Okay.
hybrid,
Mhm.
half German speaking, half English speaking. So sometimes you have a keynote speaker who's coming from abroad, but then the other speeches are still in German. And I said from the beginning, that was kind of a principle that no German language at this conference.
I see what you
So
did there.
why did I
Yeah.
do? Yeah, why did I do this? Because as you can see in the name, European Business Analysis Day, I wanted to bring all the European people together, and then the common denominator of the language is, of course, English. And what I observed, at least in my own projects, I was working with so many people, and I was working always with such people in the project. Mostly, I was the project
Okay.
manager, and I was giving orders to offshore development
Mhm.
centers. And I saw there were brilliant business analysts, but they couldn't visit events here in Germany because they didn't speak German mostly. I was working at Vodafone. And actually, I was working for an Israeli company, which is called Amdocs.
Okay.
And Amdocs is under the who is who of customer care and billing systems for mobile, for mobile technology, meaning for invoices and billing of the mobile market. And that's why I was working at Vodafone. And because Amdocs has its headquarters in Tel Aviv, they had a lot of people from Slovakia and Slovenia and Cyprus and Ukraine. There were a lot of people from the eastern states, from Croatia, and they were all working for this Israeli company. So of course we were always talking, always speaking English. English was the language, and I was used at this stage to work so much with English people that for me it was a kind of curious situation when I came to a German-speaking company. I was thinking, what is the word in German?
Yeah, I actually heard that there weren't too many English-speaking companies at the days, right? Even now,
Yeah,
not most, but many companies are still just German-speaking, if I recall
yeah,
correctly.
yeah. And if you want to translate stakeholder into German language, then you will finally end up with a, let's say, difficult to understand word. You say Beteiligte or something like this, but you will never find this stakeholder word. And coming to this, stakeholders. Yeah,
I see.
this is
So
probably
basically, you saw a niche, right? So there was no English-speaking conference in Germany. There were some conferences probably related to business analysis, right? But no one was speaking English on those conferences.
yeah. Of course, I mean, if you go to the States or if you go to UK, then you have a lot of business analysis events. Not in the other European countries, so France and Italy and Switzerland is quite busy because of all the banks. Italy is as well not bad, but Europe as such is, you can say, still underdeveloped.
That's true.
If you compare it,
Yeah.
if you compare it to the States, to UK, or even to South Africa or Australia or New Zealand, Europe is still underdeveloped if it comes to business
Right,
analysis. But
that's
Europe,
quite amazing. I'm sure
yeah,
why this is happening. I suppose you have any kind of maybe some kind of gathering with other presidents of IIBA, and you do you have
yeah,
anything to
of course we
speak
do.
on this matter? Why it's the case?
Can give you an answer for Germany, because Germany is the engineering country.
Okay.
Germany is the country where most of the cars have been built so far. Germany was the leading country for car manufacturing. Requirements engineering, the classical requirements engineering, where you have gathered requirements for products like cars or like machines, industry. Germany was always leading, and requirements engineering is still brilliant in Germany. And what the difference is between requirements engineering and business analysis? A requirements engineer, he or she will not so much look at the business need or at the why. And this is what I always tell to my trainees, to my people who are in the courses. A business analyst starts thinking at the top. He or she is asking the question, why are we doing this? Is this really bringing profit? Does it make sense to do it now? Do we have the right change strategy? Are there alternatives? What are the solution alternatives?
Yeah,
Why requirements engineers, they are mostly working on solution requirements,
that's true.
meaning they have a technical problem. They have a solution which needs to work properly with a high quality, with high quality functional requirements, reliability, use only low energy, things like this. This is all, let's say, on the solution level. But mostly, the business analyst is not so much interested in the solution level at the first glance. He or she is more interested to be in this phase before the project where the work is done.
Right. So on the inception phase,
fast.
when you understand the idea, when you understand the needs that are behind the initiative, right? That's where the business analyst does probably most impressive, most valuable part of their work. And actually, that's curious that you mentioned requirements engineering. When you said that you found IIBA and CBAP for you, I was curious, how did it happen that IIBA pulled you into their family, right? So you have IREB, for example, in Germany. You have BCS in UK, which is not quite far from Germany. So there are different, probably 5 systems in the world related to business analysis, which are very different. So why IIBA?
So I can tell you my personal story. My personal story is that I was used to lead projects already in the late 90s, and in the beginning of the 2000 years. I was used already to be a project lead on let's say larger initiatives. And of course, if you are a project manager, if you are a project lead, then you need to be certified as well, because this is just a kind of, let's say, must-have. And we have a very good German, or let's say European standard for project management. But because I was working in international environments, I said, hey, let's look globally. What is offered globally? And then I saw that there was the Project Management Institute. Yeah, and then I started to become a PMP. So this was my first, let's say, big certificate. Of course, I had a lot of others like ITIL and IREB and things like that. This was kind of harmless, because if you have done all these certificates and you start with PMP or with CBAP, then after you have passed these exams, then you know what an exam can be, because you need to learn for weeks. This is not just a walk in the park. And because I was then PMP, of course, I was a bit more familiar with the global standards, and then I saw that there is the IIBA, and I saw that there was a relationship between the IIBA and the PMI Institute. They sorted out who's doing business analysis.
Okay.
And then I said, okay, the IIBA, that are the passionate people. They are really standing for business analysis, and business analysis was my passion from the beginning. I would put it like this: project management is what I'm earning money with. Business analysis is my passion.
Something to earn money and something for your soul. That's cool.
Exactly. And then this really has caught me since a couple of years. I'm more and more diving into enterprise architecture, because I think this is so important. But you've asked me, how did I come to IIBA? Yeah, first of all, because I was interested in a global standard, and secondly, because I was somehow running into the BABOK, and as I've opened it, I've read it, and I said, okay, that's it, that's good. And then I was working in the energy industry, so energy trading actually at E.ON. E.ON is the biggest German energy company,
right?
And then suddenly requirements engineering was not that much requested. It was more requested to understand the business problems, to understand the why, to understand the rationale behind initiatives, very much related to portfolio management. So why I'm doing this project, why I'm not doing this project, why I'm doing this project now and the other project later. And this is a typical, let's say, task for a business analyst. So to finally calculate business cases. So this is a requirements engineer is not doing this at all. But a business analyst needs to know how to calculate business cases. So probably you would say, isn't this work for a controller, for somebody from the finance department, for accounting people? No, no, because the business cases at the beginning, they are not only about money. What do I invest, and what can I earn, and what is the development in 5 years? What is spent, and what is the income? But more important is that you concentrate on the, let's say, on the soft facts, that you say, okay, what are the earnings the company gets? Meaning, can the company strengthen their brand names? Can the company improve the internal processes? Can the company improve customer satisfaction or even employee satisfaction? Things like that. All these factors, which you cannot easily manage in euros, are hard to work out. And this is where business analysts can become experts in the company, because they should become go-to persons, meaning people should go to the BAs and ask them, hey, dear BA, please tell me what is our value proposition for this and this initiative, and please tell it holistically. Don't tell it about euros and dollars. I
Right.
want to know everything. I want to know it holistically, and this is exactly where business analysis comes into a fascination, because it's not a tunnel view where you only think about money and doing
It's like a broad view
profit
on
and loss.
things, not just IT, not
Exact,
just software, not just like a solution, right? Yeah, you mentioned the like enterprise limitations. That's also a factor that need to be considered when you come up with like a change strategy.
absolutely, absolutely. So if you talk about enterprise limitation, then you are stepping into to a knowledge area of the BABOK, which is called
Exactly.
solution evaluation.
Exactly.
So you have two kinds. You have two kinds of limitations. You have the enterprise limitations and the solution limitations.
Exactly.
Let me talk first about the enterprise limitations. The enterprise limitations are very much determined by the ability of a company to bring the new solution which is coming, or the change which is coming, into production. Meaning there is always a transition phase. Let's say a solution has been built, a new process has been installed or established, and then the organization needs to adapt it, it needs to work on it. And then you can run into situations where the enterprise has limitations, meaning the people are not well educated, the data is not migrated from the old solutions to the new solution. Let's say people have worked with Excel before, and then they will get an integrated system. And some of the people still work with Excel in the background. They are not going to the new solution. And this is exactly what limitations can be. So, and these enterprise limitations, they are characteristically, they cannot be found in the solution itself. So the solution can be brilliant, perfectly programmed, bug free. They have a good, let's say, price,
Hmm.
good value for the money, everything. But if the people in the company are not using it because of any limitations they have from the enterprise, then the value, the total value, again, holistically, the total value will never come into production.
Right. You
So
may
meaning,
create like a perfect tool, like a perfect solution, but if nobody's ready to use it or have any struggles with using the solution, then probably value is not achieved. That's true.
yes, and this is why, if I talk about limitations, then I always try to see it in this, let's say, BABOK twofold manner. I'm looking at the people who are going to use, or who are supposed to use, the new solutions or
Right.
processes, and the supporting systems, and so on. And a good idea is that you start to think about this very early. So we are in the solution evaluation um, knowledge area. I haven't said phase, because there are no phases in business analysis as in project management. But what you can say is that solution evaluation mostly takes place at the end of a cycle. But, solution evaluation has one precondition: something has to exist. You cannot do solution evaluation with a theoretical thing, with an imagination, or with a plan, or with a sketch. What you need to have at least is a mock-up or prototype. There, the solution evaluation starts, and it more and more goes further. And if you have an MVP, then you can do again a bit more solution evaluation until you go into the test stages, until you go from the development system to the QA system to the quality assurance system to the production
Exactly.
system. All these stages, you do solution evaluation until you say, okay, it's fine, we can take it into production. And what I wanted to say is, why I'm after is, you should think about solution evaluation very early, even at the beginning of the project, because you should install sensors, meaning measuring points with which you can follow the quality. So if you know that stakeholders, for example, there are some stakeholders, they have performance requirements, non-functional requirements. They say the report, after I have pressed the button, the report has to be there in 10 seconds.
Exactly.
So if you neglect this functional requirement too long, and the development phase goes on, and then suddenly you see that on the test or the productive system functional requirement cannot be met at all, meaning you are at 30 seconds or 40 seconds, then what do you do? Then
That's true. That's true, yeah. And it resembles a bit a sales phase of anything. You may build a great product, you may think it's perfect for everybody, but first you need to think about sales, right? Who will buy this product? A bit same with solution evaluation. You need to first think what you will get, how will you measure what you get, and only then build.
Yes, and it's very good that you are mentioning sales, because I think that every BA should be a kind of sales guy as well, because what you are conceptualizing, you are planning with different people, is you are planning a product or a solution which finally has to be sold to customers. And customers, they have different value, they need different value propositions, they have different value categories. Some of the people, they are very visually, they look, hey, how beautiful is it? Other things, hey, how does it sound? The next thing is, how fast is it? And your job as a BA is to see where are the acceptance criteria of the different stakeholder groups, and form a catalog of acceptance criteria, which can be finally in the solution evaluation, where we can go through, where we can test them, and finally satisfy the people. And if you do it in an open book manner, meaning if you always take the stakeholders through this process and say, at the beginning, even before the project is really kicked off, you say, okay, this is the catalog of my main acceptance criteria. It has to be fast, it has to be low power consumption, it has to be blah, blah, blah. And then you are kind of, if the solution comes back into 15 seconds, because you have demanded 10 seconds, then it's too fast. Okay, let's say if it comes back into 15 seconds, a report, would this be acceptable for you? The stakeholders say, yes, that's fine. And then you are writing it down. You are capturing it.
True.
And then months later, you are in the middle of the solution evaluation, and finally you can.
That's right.
You can say.
That's right. And
say, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
A lot of people are focusing on the modeling of requirements and specification of requirements. Like a lot of people working in IT, for example, they are most of the time working with that knowledge area, but they don't realize that probably most value they could provide is actually within solution evaluation and strategy analysis knowledge areas.
But what you've mentioned in your last answer or question statement is very important. Yuri, what I always say is the requirements engineering is the kind of solution heart of business analysis.
Right, yeah,
But
it is.
But the two arms or legs which are spreading out is strategy analysis and solution evaluation, because requirements engineers, they are not caring about strategy analysis and not so much about solution evaluation. This is something for the testers, they say. So they are very, let's say, located in the middle of the things. And BA is much broader. He is thinking about strategy, about the why, and he is finally thinking about how and how well the solution is implemented.
Right, and you are very correct that it's like vastly broad professional knowledge. I will be making a video about the business analysis, explaining in simple words, and I will try to do exactly what you're saying right now, to show that business analysis is broader than just requirements or engineering, just building software, or just specifying requirements, not just describing, like all the things that need to be developed. You mentioned that you came up with an idea for the European BA Day conference in 2017, right? So for me, that was a moment when I was a bit desperate in business analysis. What I mean is, I thought that business analysis was stuck at place. There were just a few conferences around the globe. There was probably BBC at that moment. I'm not sure, but probably. There's been IREB UK with their business analysis conference. Yes, and a couple of more, but that's it. So not much action. And that was the moment when I came up with an idea of my blog, my BA Digest at the moment. I've been collecting articles from all the people around the globe in the internet, and I was posting like a selection of the articles in a local e-paper. And it's funny how you came up with the idea of the conference at this very moment, right? So probably something was happening in business analysis world that made few people around the world to try and do something for business analysis. That's cool. And when you were coming up with this idea, at that moment there was already European Business Analysis Conference in UK, and you stayed with the name European Business Analysis Day. So how did you probably knew about that conference already? So how did you choose this specific name?
Of course, I know all the conferences. I've spoken on the BBC. I've been traveling around through Europe. I was in Serbia, in Paris, and I was in Switzerland and everywhere. And I have been speaking on all these conferences. And even then, when I was planning the European Business Analysis Day, our BA Day, then I saw the tendencies that England or Great Britain was stepping out of the European Union, and
Right.
so I saw more and more that America and England and Europe, that we had three areas. I would never say it's America on this hand, at this side, and it's Europe at the other side, and Asia at the third side. No, I would always say, okay, it's Europe, it's UK, and it's Central Europe, it's UK and America, and Asia. Okay, and Africa, of course, not to neglect this. BCS is a known standard on the island in England.
That's true. Yes.
IIBA is coming. Yeah, IIBA is coming from America.
From Canada, if I recall correctly. Yes.
Yeah, from Canada actually, or from the Americas.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And IIBA is global. and BCS never has been global. And so it was for
Right.
me,
Right.
it has never been a question whether we should feature BCS, because BCS is only applied on in England. You will never find a German company which is working according to BCS, but you can find a lot of them are working according to Bubble. And
Mhm.
therefore, there was always a feeling that okay, yeah, there is a European conference with this name in London, but this is an English conference, it's a British conference, and we don't have a Central European conference. And this is why I saw this gap, and this is why I saw as well a gap language-wise. You had Italian, you had French people, you had
I see.
Polish people.
I see.
For example, in Poland, there's a lot of business analysis in Poland, and Ukraine as well. I've worked with Ukrainian people 15 years ago, and they are brilliant software developers. But it was always there were always obstacles in Central Europe if it comes to exchange of working people, of people working abroad, and of communicating in communities like BAs and conferences. And this is why I found out or I saw this gap, and I said, okay, let's close this gap. And I'm quite proud that we have now the fifth edition. Of course, we had a big, let's say, interrupt or a distortion by Corona.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah. But when you
yeah,
switch to the virtual format, actually, right? So before that, the
yeah,
conference was strictly offline.
yeah, it was strictly on premise or offline in Frankfurt, and we started so well. We had in the second year we already had close to 200 people, and then in Corona, of course, it went down. So, so all the guests we had from other countries like Ukraine, we had four, six, seven, 8 or 10 people from Ukraine, and then we had from Serbia, from Croatia, from Poland, from Slovenia. We had from all the eastern states, especially from the eastern states. We had much more visitors than from the western states like France and Spain and Ireland or Holland or Belgium. And so we were kind of really yeah, Eastern oriented a bit. And this was cut from today to tomorrow. And yeah, of course, then we have started with this hybrid format. And to be honest, the hybrid format has some disadvantages. The disadvantage is that you always need to divide the people into two groups: the people who are there and the people who are remote. And if you are compromising always to have the best show for the people which are who are in Frankfurt in the conference rooms, and on the other hand, you want to have the best experience for the people who
Right.
are
Yes.
remotely at the screens. You always have a kind of tension between these two goals, and it's really hard to serve them well all together. And this is
Unfortunately,
why we
yes.
said, okay, it was so difficult from the technical approach, and so you can only reach, let's say, 80 or 70% of the quality for each group. And then we said, okay, let's go for this virtual format, and let's go even further, because now we are getting tickets. We are selling tickets to Brazil, to Australia, to Latvia, to Ukraine. We are selling tickets worldwide in the meantime, and we couldn't do this before because before the people had to travel to Frankfurt. That was another obstacle, and especially for you in Ukraine, it's hard to travel at the moment. So, and that's really a pity, and I hope this will be over soon.
Thank you. Thank you
But
for your kind words.
yeah,
Yeah.
now we have this problem.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, and actually, this virtual format allowed you to do the thing which I personally, it was amazing for me to know that one of the co-organizers of this year's conference is a person from Ukraine, Alexander Moskalyuk, and
Yeah,
specifically the virtual format allowed him to be a part of this amazing event. I'm not sure if otherwise Alexander would have been a part of it, like offline. I know that he was a speaker on one of the previous conferences in 2013, 23, I suppose. That's probably
23.
where you meet there. But yes, organizing this conference offline from Ukraine would be a huge challenge.
Yes, and I really have to say that I very much appreciate how Alexander is working. Alexander is working worldwide. He's communicating with people from Brazil to Australia, to and he's doing a very good job. And actually, he has already supported us in the 23 edition of the BA Day.
Oh,
He
right.
was, yeah, he was the man sitting behind the let's say remote computers, and we had at this time we have used the system to record the speeches and to have the experience that people could see it at a remote screen and on the beamer, because you always have to do this in parallel. And I can tell you, acoustic is really a very special topic if you do it in a hybrid mode. So tone needs to be absolutely synchronous if you are doing it remotely and on the stage, because if you have time gaps between the sound on the stage and remotely, you will immediately listen to this let's say bad things, and this will annoy people, and that's why we had so much challenges that we said, okay, let's do it pure virtually, because after Corona, all the people are used to work virtually.
With this globalization thing and the virtual format, we from Ukraine could help organize an event in Germany. That's amazing. That's like heartwarming to me. And actually, I know that Alexander is not the first person who slipped into the conference. You had also another person from Ukraine, at least, speaking, Nati Nazar, in.
She was brilliant. Yeah, she did a very nice speech, and I've vice versa. I've spoken on a soft serve event. There was a soft serve business analysis conference, and I was speaking there. And now we have again a speaker from SoftServe. I cannot tell you his name because it's
Kirill
quite
Bielowski.
complicated. Yeah,
He also
this is
like
what I know.
a friend of mine in terms of blogging. Yeah, he
Yeah.
also runs some
It's a
blogging in
complicated
Ukraine.
name, but I know that he's a very experienced guy, and we are proud to have him as a speaker as well. Yeah.
Yes, he's an amazing person. Same as Natia Nazar, actually. She was also a person of inspiration to me. Years ago, we had a beautiful interview with Natia. I was the guest at that moment. We also spoke about business analysis, about the different techniques, and she was one of the people who inspired me doing what I do right now, actually. So, yeah, I always remember about Nati with warm heart. But anyways, you also have speakers, of course, not from Ukraine. You have a lot of speakers usually from Germany, as I understand. It's like a core amount of speakers are somewhere from Germany. But you also usually, but not always, have big guns on your conference. Just a couple of names that I remember. For example, and I hope I'm not butchering the name, is Stefan Bosuve, who has been a part of the conference 3 times. That's probably most than anybody else. Philip Hendricks from Belgium as well, a couple of times. Another
we had Adrian Reed. Adrian Reed we had there from the UK.
Oh, so it's not the first time Adrian is on the conference this year, right?
No, I think he was on the very first the BA day. He was speaking here. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
And we had as well very famous people from the US, and we had Elizabeth Larson, and she was the former owner of Watermark Learning. And Watermark Learning, they have published the best, let's say, simulator for the CBAP exam. So quite a good company from
yeah, I
the
used
US.
it before doing my CBAP last year. That's true. Quite an interesting experience using that simulator. Yeah, probably best product on the market for CBAP and CBA simulation exams.
Yeah, still, I would recommend the Watermark simulator. It's the best one because if you go to the internet and search for sample questions, you will find a lot low quality stuff. But watermark learning is high quality stuff. You can say if you have what I always say to my people if they want to go for the CBAP exam, you have to do at least 3 real life exams at home with the simulator. And if you are then climbing from under 80% over the barrier of 80%, if you finally have 82, 83%, then you are well prepared, and then you can go to the exam and you are completely relaxed because you will come through. But if you go with 72, 73% to the exam, then it can be a problem.
Yeah, I actually did the same. I had probably 75% on the simulation before I was sure that I'm pretty good with the material, at least from the watermark. Of course, the questions
Yeah,
were very different during the exam, and that will be
yeah.
like a very separate topic. I will be making a video about the CBAP, about the exam, about the certifications by IIBA. I will definitely speak on that because people still there are a lot of people actually passing this certification these days, so that would be, I suppose, useful to share.
Absolutely. So this is why I enjoy being a trainer and prepare the people because you can tell them so much. We more or less have 36 hours because most of the people they need these hours to fulfill the preconditions, the professional training hours. And so during these hours, regardless whether they are online or whether they are in their company on premise or wherever, then we can have so much, let's say, of exchange, so many discussions that the people then not only learn the stuff which is in the bubble, no, they learn in an associative way. They remember the stories I have told them. They I always tell them you have to read, you have to discuss with people, you have to look at videos at YouTube, you have to go to a training, you have to sing business analysis. And the more different approaches you have in your brain, you have to play with cards or whatever. The more you do, the more associative learning will be in your brain, and you are not just reading the bubble. Because I've never seen a guy who has just read the bubble and then passed the exam. It's
Exactly,
simply
there's no
impossible.
such person. I'm sure. A lot of people try to settle me with an idea that I need to memorize BA before I pass my exam,
Mhm.
and I wasn't always good with memorizing sorts of things. You know, it's not even when I was a little kid and my father tried to help me memorize poems for my school homework, it was always a disaster. So what I
Mhm.
learned is that building systems and understanding systems to memorize stuff is much more important. So you just not just, but you try to understand the concept and build connections between those concepts. That's how I,
Yeah,
for
this
example,
is.
memorized the list of stakeholders. There are 11 stakeholder types in BABOK, and I did a very probably childish thing. I assigned each stakeholder for each of my fingers.
Yes, it's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
one didn't fit, and I built the connection from business analyst to the last stakeholders.
Yeah, but this is exactly what I mean. You are associating your fingers then with this, let's say, story, and you are going through a structure, and then it's much easier for your brain to build up the system. And what I always like to do is I like to build stories. I can tell you a story about transition requirements.
Yeah, please, that would be
Transition
awesome.
transition. So what I say, oh God, the poor transition requirements. The poor transition requirements, they are completely neglected by everybody. Nobody wants to invest in the transition requirements because they are only used once. They are only used once to migrate data. They are only used once to train people, to educate people, and then they are going away. And nobody wants to invest in them. And they are so poor. Nobody wants to deal with
That's
transition
true. That's
requirements.
true.
So now I'm giving so much emotion into this explanation that everybody who thinks about transition requirements, who has been in my course, remembers what did Rainer say? He had a funny story with poor. Why are the requirements poor? Yes, they are poor because they are only used once. They are used for migration. They are used for education. This is the structure where the people then start to think about, and this is exactly what they need to know to answer the questions. And it's an emotional story, the poor requirements, and this exactly triggers your brain.
They're truly poor, actually. I remember a case from my experience when we needed to migrate from all documentation from Excel, basically the process built in Excel, into the new software we've built. And after I specified model requirements for the important feature, which needed to be used just once during the weekend to migrate all the data, and it came up with, if I recall correctly, like 20 pages of requirements, tables, and matching stuff, and it later transformed into 3 months of development to do this migration feature, because it was not just a simple put this data into that table, right? It was like strong connections, different rules, different ifs, all that sorts of things. It was crazy to,
Calculated, aggregated,
yeah, to transform
complex.
data, to somehow concatenate data in some cases. And when we introduced the estimate of 3 months of a couple of people doing this work just for transition, of course it was a shock for the business to spend that much resources on just migrating. They, of course,
So
everybody
much money.
understood the need to migrate the key data which was collected in the company for 20 years, but nevertheless it was a shock how much effort needed to be done in this particular case.
Yes, yes, and this perfectly fits as well to my story about the transition requirements because they I said that they are poor, they are neglected, the people are not attentive towards the transition requirements, and this is why they don't know what it costs in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of
Exactly,
effort,
yes.
and interviews and everything. So, and if you approach a stakeholder and ask him, hey, how can I migrate the data? Say, oh God, this is boring. I don't want to talk with you about data migration. And this is why it's so hard for transition requirements to get the attention they deserve. Because imagine you have badly implemented transition requirements, and then afterwards the solution is fine. The solution has been built perfectly, but then the migrated data has low quality. What will the stakeholders say afterwards? They will say, "Hey, this new solution is
It sucks.
not good."
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's not good
let's say as it
because
is,
of
it
what?
sucks because there's no data. Data
Yeah,
is bad. It's corrupted.
yeah, and they do not differentiate between the bad data and the good solution. They just say all this stuff sucks. It's not good, and this is exactly why transition requirements can play such an important role that they must not be neglected. And this is the story. And this is always my style. If I want to teach, then I try to think about stories. I try to think about, let's say, a story which develops, which starts with a problem and then comes finally to a solution, and with which I give the people a kind of takeaway, and say, okay, if you BA, dear young BA,
Mhm.
if you are going into a company and you have to deal with transitional requirements, please approach the stakeholders and consider this, that, this, and that. And this is exactly why I think that learning always needs to be so broad and not so narrow into a book or into a simulator or whatever. So if you are thinking broadly, and if you are discussing things like we are doing now, then learning is becomes so much easier.
Exactly, and I'm on board with you on that. and I'm currently actually in process of building competency structure for BAs in the company, and I spend a lot of time on transition requirements. Actually, I just realized that consciously. So to build this skill tree, to build the competency approach, I need to research a lot of things. I need to understand a lot of things, educate people. So to do a lot of stuff even before the matrix is born, and that's exactly transition requirements. That's cool insight, actually. Thank you. And as we speak about requirements and transition requirements, all sorts of requirements, I was wondering at the moment that coming up with the conference formats, building this conference, evolving it through years, I suppose that you not only apply the project management approach to this initiative, but business analysis approach. You actually mentioned a stakeholder analysis, specifically when we started this conversation today, that you found a niche, that you found people who would benefit from this specific format of the conference and these specific plans. What else you may share that you actually used out of business analysis while building this conference? Maybe our listeners will be able to have a couple of insights for them how to build their internal conferences, maybe in their companies or in their communities of practice.
Yeah, so what I always say is that the common denominator between all the agile and agility stuff and Scrum and product owner, and on one hand, and on the other hand, the BAs, there is one big common denominator, and this is value. People are behind value, they are after value. They want to understand how can I deliver value to stakeholders. And my stakeholders as a conference host are, of course, the visitors.
Sure.
And I'm trying to understand what is the value proposition from their point of view, and how can I create economically affordable value proposition. Of course, if I would invest thousands of euros, then I can engage a pop star for the evening event. I could do this. I can bring the best catering service of whole Frankfurt. Maybe then this would be as well a kind of value proposition. But I wanted to have a value position in terms of BA content, and that's why we didn't do a traditional call for papers. We handpicked the speakers, and we tried to assemble a program which was always focusing on a theme. Meaning one year we had sustainability, the other year now we have artificial intelligence. Then we had a year where we had a bridging the gap kind of thing between business and IT. And we always try to handpick the speeches to give the people who are coming to the conference, who are visiting the conference, a kind of clustered learning. Meaning, whenever they came to the conference, it was not a kind of A to Z everything. No, it was a kind of a close cluster of themes, of topics. And this is how we have formed the value proposition. Because I think a value proposition, and this is what I can share with people, the value proposition needs to be high. It needs to be vertical. If you have a sharp vertical value proposition where the people can, with not so much effort, go and consume this value proposition, then they have a takeaway. Then they learn, okay, now I've learned this. And this is a kind of lesson for them. But if you have a very broad spectrum of speeches and people, and there's everything, there's solution, there's project management, there's everything in the conference. It's like let's say a big city festival. Everything is there.
That's true.
Finally you have spent 2 days there. It's a bit like the BBC. I have to criticize the BBC. You are going to the BBC, it's 1,500 people, I've spoken there myself, and you have spent 2 days afterwards, and then you are so, let's say, confused afterwards. You are coming back. I was sitting in the plane and said, what are my takeaways now?
I
I
see.
mean,
I see
I
what you
had a
mean.
lot
Yeah.
of I had a lot of connections. I have met fantastic people, but intellectually, for business analysis, I haven't brought that much with me. And this is exactly what I was thinking about. And I thought, okay, no, this has to be different with the BA day. With the BA day, the people have to learn something. They have to get to drive home and to think, okay, that was great. I can apply this in my daily life. For example, this time it is AI. Last time it was sustainability. They will go
Mhm.
home. They will have a lot of aspects as well as thinking out of the box. It's not only standard, but because we are trying to have speakers who really are thought provoking in their speeches, so that they are thinking beyond the normal. And yes, and this is exactly the inspiration the people need to have.
Yes, you were talking about how you apply business analysis skills to the building this conference. So you talked about the stakeholders. Maybe you can share just one more thing that's maybe an insight for people to use in their projects, to build in their communities of practice in terms of building this conference. What people may apply to do the same in smaller format for their company, for example.
You need to address uh, some needs which are very elementary. So meaning first what people want to have, they want to get appreciation. So if you give people the opportunity to speak by themselves, um, even if it's in breaks or if it's in workshops where they can be productive, where they can give something from their perspective, where they can contribute, then this contribution automatically leads to appreciation.
Mhm.
Other people say, "Hey, this is cool. What you are telling me is perfect. I like it. I will take it away with me." And this is a kind of emotional thing. And this emotional thing has to be hit. It has to be there for the visitors, because this is what they finally feel if they leave the conference. And this is why they are coming back, because they have been on the first BA day, they're coming back to the second and the third, because they know when they have been there in Frankfurt, they had a good time. Because they have got appreciation, they could contribute, they could, let's say, form new social relationships, things like that. And this is what, of course, I mean, you are asking about virtual and on-premise format. This is very short in virtual formats, and we are thinking about how can we connect people, how can we give them this feeling that they have contributed, how can they get appreciation, and such things are not, let's say, it's not about the hard facts. It's often about the soft facts that people finally think, wow, that's a good point. And it's touching as well value, what I said before, because value is not only consisting of, let's say, hard facts and money and dollars, euros. Value is very much consisting nowadays in terms of, or let's say, of things which are satisfying your mind in a way that
Mhm.
you think, okay, that's fun. This is why the agile people always talking about fun. Agile people always say, yeah, this has to be fun, and you have to celebrate, and
True.
it has to be fun. But what is the phenomenon behind? The phenomenon behind is that if it is fun, then it's automatically a contribution, appreciation, and honor, and things like that. And these are very, let's say, low level human feelings which need to be addressed, because we are not artificial intelligences. We are human beings, and this
We
is
are.
this is what, yeah, and this is what is, let's say, for us the food for the soul, and this is very important.
That's cool thought actually. It's like of course, yes, analyze needs, provide value, but provide emotions, provide that experience to people, not just like dry information, but networking, connection to people, having fun. Yeah, I'm totally taking this as an insight for me.
What we did, I can tell you about one format. What we did, we said, okay, we were in a small room and the people were sitting quite relaxed on an armchair. Some were standing, some were eating the dessert, and some were drinking coffee, and some were standing in the door. And then there was a kind of very short opportunity to speak. Um, and it should be a very personal topic and a topic which is a bit of secret and a story which was authentic. And
Okay.
then we said, okay, if you want to be on stage, go on stage, um, bring a picture or take a picture of the catalog we have and start talking about something. And it was so funny what the people said. It was so nice. It was personal stories. So somebody was jumping into a river, and the next one he had a personal experience with his son, and the next one was talking about the journey of about foreign cultures. And so this session, I think it was in the at lunchtime. It was 1 hour, and people were dropping in, dropping out, just as they want. And this session was fantastic, and still people are talking about that. Yeah, and from there, relationships and friendships have started, and this is really great. So yeah, now probably you can say, what is Rainer talking about? Is he now always talking about soft stuff? But this soft stuff is extremely important if you work in a project team. I can tell you, I'm working now in a project team with 100 stakeholders at Vattenfall in Berlin.
Oh,
100.
that's a lot.
100 stakeholders, and it's a project which goes beyond 100 million euros. And in
Okay,
such a, in
massive.
such an atmosphere, if the people do not feel comfortable, then it immediately goes into the bad direction. People have to feel comfortable. You have to each and every day you have to see, are the people in good mood? And if they are not in good mood, you cannot imagine what it means if a meeting with 10 or 15 stakeholders, all well-paid consultants, if this goes wrong, what it costs. Yeah.
That's right. And actually, funny that you mentioned that, because such a thought was one of couple that inspired me last year to start giving speeches about trust and how business
Mhm.
analysts could build
Yeah.
trust in the team with stakeholders. You may be super expert, you may be like architect, you may be a CEO, but if you don't build trust with another side, the project usually fails, the initiative fails, because they don't believe you, you don't believe them, and
Mhm.
the BA is the person who is in the middle. It's like BA is the hub through which the information flows within the initiative. So who, if not a BA, is the cornerstone person to build trust among all the people in the initiative?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So to be a trustworthy person is probably one of the most important attributes, because you want people to tell them probably their secrets, their agendas, sometimes hidden agendas. You want to figure out what drives them, what satisfies them, what are what is their personal, sometimes hidden value proposition, and you always can dig into such a, let's say, hidden information if you are on a trust level. If they don't know you, especially if you are in online conferences, they will simply be quiet. They're not saying anything.
That's true. And actually, you gave me a thought that with this format, you explained how people like tell stories. I suppose no one did that, and maybe someone will listen to this episode and take this idea, but to actually create an open mic on the conference, that
Yeah,
people could share their professional ideas right away.
yeah. Enter the stage and yeah, be an entertainer. It's the best opportunity you can have, and this is exactly
That's true.
what is the difference between, let's say, a kind of private conference, which you have with 100 or 200 people. Then, if you are running around, you can see all the people, and with many of them, you come directly into a conversation. But if you have, like at the BBC in America, you have 1,500 people. You are running through big halls,
So
and
many.
so you are a bit of lost, and the people, they know each other. There are, let's say, clubs and parties and things like that, and this is very different on the BA day. Then when the people have met, they immediately started to discuss the things, and they were very quickly on a personal level. And this is exactly what is needed, because it goes along with what you have said about trust. Because you are only exchanging information, probably sensitive information, even if you are trusting your counterpart.
Actually, having a smaller format is comfortable in terms of networking, because
Yes.
last year I'm not sure how many people were there on that conference I attended, probably 300, probably 400, and I tried to connect with each person. Of course I failed. I connected with probably 200 people. I was like jumping like crazy and just how do you say, I was almost attacking people to talk to me. I was trying to connect with everybody, and I probably connected with 200 people. So it's impossible to connect
Wow.
even during a couple of days with so many people. Yeah, that's true. That's why probably these smaller formats are more like homey, right? So they like homey. They have homey touches for sure.
On one BA day, I think it was the second one, if I'm not wrong, we had a fire alarm, and
Oh, right.
yeah, yeah, because somebody in the kitchen at the first floor, he has done something wrong, and the fire was breaking out, and we were on the fifth floor, and then there was a danger of smoke, which was coming through the air conditioner or something, and finally the firefighters, they have decided that we have to evacuate. And then you
Mhm.
can imagine 200 people, they were not allowed to use the accelerators, the elevators. They should use the stairs, and then they were they were going from the fifth floor to the street, and on the street they were
Yeah.
talking, and they were exchanging jackets because it was a bit cold, and it was really a big fun. And so, of course, we were challenged, because as a conference organization, we have lost time. Our schedule was drifting away and things like that. And then, really, we started to work spontaneously on adapting the agenda. We said each speaker will give 5 minutes for the fire alarm and things like that. And all people were laughing and joking. It was a big thing. So finally, I was happy that the fire alarm was there.
Yeah, it created a unique situation for the
Yeah, yeah,
conference.
exactly. Yeah,
People
and
connecting to each other.
everybody who was at the second DBA day, yeah, the one with the fire alarm.
Okay, yeah, that's probably that was very stressful situation at that moment, but I'm happy that you remember it with a bit of a fun. Okay, well, thank you. And to probably summarize this episode, I would like to ask you the following: with an upcoming BA day in just what, like less than a month, probably already. Mm, what would be your advice to people that will join me, as I'm speaking also at the conference? Will join how many? I'm not sure. 200, 300 people online. What would
Hopefully,
be
hopefully. Yeah.
your advice to how people get the most of the conference? How would you suggest attend this conference to get the most? experience, the emotions.
Yeah, first of all, connections to other people are very important. And what I would like to please give as a note to all interested people is every speech is recorded. So if
Okay.
you can go back to the speeches and simply watch it offline, or if you cannot watch two streams simultaneously. I mean, that's a bit difficult, isn't it? Then you can just put one, let's say, the slot at the evening or whenever, a few weeks later, and then you can watch another
True.
speech, which is very beneficial. And so that's good, because if you miss things because you are talking to other people, or you're chatting with people, or you are going to a special breakout room, to a virtual room, or you are visiting a sponsor, then you don't miss anything, because you can go back to the recordings. And this is what I want to give to the people as an advice. Don't sit in front of your computer and listen only to one speech. Try to get connected with the other people. I know that it is harder because it's virtual, but it pays off, because you can easily connect with people from Australia or from Brazil or from Canada, and
Absolutely.
this is normally not so easily possible. And this is a good meeting point to connect globally.
For sure, you don't have to watch all the episodes, all the speeches. You should try and get most of the connecting people, right? Of course, the
Yeah,
conference is always about getting knowledge, but it's also about connecting to people, learning from people, sharing your experience. So probably that's what you should do during the conference, right?
yes, and the point is, if you are discussing with people about cases, situations, or whatever, then you learn a lot, um, because you are discussing through the discussions, because this learning by exchanging with other people is it's not to be underestimated. It's extremely important. Probably you can learn more in a discussion than if you would read a chapter of a book.
Exactly. That's massively important advice. Thank you, Rainer, for being with me.
Thank you very much, Yuri, and appreciate very much how you bring us together in this podcast format, and the leading questions you have. And yes, your contribution to the business analysis community. So, guys like you, and the things are going forward.